So, I was surprised about this subscription model.
We charge 0%,
How it's working in terms of growth.
make some money in another industry and come back.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of burns, a lot of cuts.
Investors wouldn't like that's such a pricing model.
There isn't 55% to give away,
Great.
but we'll eat well, I promise.
Definitely. Let's start. Today we got Peter Venti, CEO and founder at FamilyMeal.com. So, what about me? My name is Volodudas. I'm Ukrainian IT entrepreneur and founder at Codeline. So, welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
So, would have a few questions for you. First of all, it would be great if you tell a bit about you, about your business, and why Family Meal, why right now.
Sure. Well, I grew up in New Jersey. My entire life I wanted to be a chef. And so at the age of 14, I got my first job in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I learned very quickly that I did not want to be a chef. It's a very hard life. A lot of burns, a lot of cuts, making less than minimum wage. It's a very difficult business, but for some reason I still love the hospitality industry. So I had a new goal, which was learn as much as possible about the industry, make some money in another industry, and come back and try to do things right. And so I worked in finance. I hated every day of my life. I was just waiting to get another shot in the restaurant business. I was fortunate enough to do that at a 3 Michelin star dining group in Chicago, and pivoted into running my own restaurant consulting firm with a great team, and grew that nationwide. Ended up selling to one of our customers, and needed something else to do. So during the pandemic in the United States, the restaurant industry really got crushed, and I wanted to be part of a new solution. And so Family Meal is an online ordering platform that restaurants actually like. Taking this old business model of predatory fees and kind of pretty terrible business practices that I saw with other restaurant technology companies, and doing everything that I would have wanted if I was a restaurant owner. So really came full circle for me in the last couple of years. But decided to create software that helps restaurants grow, but really thoughtfully.
Great. It's an amazing experience you got so far. And if I understand you right, the main target audience is actually restaurants, right? And what is the problem? What is the pain you are solving with Family Meal right now?
Yeah, so as a consultant and working as an operator, I learned that the restaurant business was terrible. It's what I learned when I was 14, is that they operate on razor thin margins. They're reliant on people coming in the door, and any kind of disruption can kind of upend their entire business model. And so with Family Meal, we specialize in helping restaurants grow all of their pre-scheduled big ticket orders. That way they're making a lot of money on every order. They have enough time to prepare, to staff, to control the costs, and to be able to get them recurring revenue, high margin revenue. It really flips this restaurant economic script on its head. So we want to be supporting restaurants making a ton of money, so that they can invest in their employees, that they can invest in their growth, and ultimately take this old kind of preconceived notion that it's a terrible industry and make it one that's really attractive.
Was it helpful in pandemic time? You mentioned that Family Meal started in pandemic time. Was it helpful for some of restaurants, the solution as it is?
I think so. I think just getting any extra revenue. Restaurants, unfortunately, are pretty desperate. Family Meal is free for restaurants to use. We made sure of that. We do not want to take advantage of the industry when they're at their lowest point. And so we made it free for them. And slowly but surely, we started getting them bigger orders and evolving our software and growing thoughtfully.
That's great, Peter. And right now, what is the current amount of restaurants that are using this software pretty frequently? And what would you expect to get in the nearest future?
Sure. And one of the problems with our business being free for restaurants is that we get everyone. So
Yep.
we get independent chefs who are selling a dozen brownies to their neighbor, and we get larger chains, fancy restaurants in Manhattan. We're all over the place. So we have over 100 actively using us, signed up.
Mm-hmm.
Some only use us for the holidays when they need to organize their sales, create new menus. Some use us for meal prep. Some use us for general catering, pop-ups. We've kind of seen it all. It's daunting, but it's also kind of fun to see the breadth of use cases that FamilyMeal has.
What you already touched, and I would like to emphasize and know more deeper. What is your pricing model for restaurants and for diners? What would make you special among all those competitors in the market?
Sure. One of our biggest competitors can charge up to 55% per order. I touched on restaurant economics a little bit, but I think most people know that there isn't 55% to give away. And so,
Yep.
because we charge 0%, there's an immediate kind of interest from restaurants, but also a level of distrust. They've gotten beaten down by other restaurant technology firms that promised the moon and delivered very little. And so we try to promise very little and deliver high value.
Mm-hmm.
We charge 3% as a convenience fee to the diner. That's in line with some of our competitors. We've had 0 complaints about our fee. That has created complaints from our investors because that means we're not priced high enough. But I stand by the fact that as a software company, as middleware, we should not be extracting all of the value from the restaurant and diner relationship. We should be supporting it so they can provide hospitality and make money as an industry. But we can operate on a much leaner cost structure than a lot of our Silicon Valley competitors who need to finance their beanbag chairs and exorbitant salaries for executives. We see ourselves as part of the restaurant industry, and therefore we should operate appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Peter. And so, having more than 100 restaurants already, charging little, right? Helping those restaurants to grow faster. What is your vision for the next few months, year, about the next steps, where you're going, and what kind of help would you need? Any investments? You mentioned that investors wouldn't like that's such a pricing model, but
For sure.
what would you think you could propose them?
Yeah, I think a lot of investors are cognizant of the fact that the industry itself is changing.
Mm-hmm.
Even the laws in New York City, where we are today, have prevented some of the big delivery companies from charging too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very, everyone's hyper aware of the fact that a new business model needs to emerge. And we think we have a big competitive advantage of operating a linear cost structure, but also being able to scale much faster. Because we're free, because our tools are simple to use, we can have every restaurant in the country self-onboard and start selling within 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We've leveraged some partnerships with Stripe and DoorDash for processing and local delivery, with far better rates than what the individual restaurants could negotiate. And we think that there are other creative partnerships we could have with large entities like them
Mm-hmm.
that are going to pass down some of that aggregate buying power. And FamilyMeal, we compete on not just software. There are a lot of great software companies, and not just our mission. There's a lot of good-hearted people in the industry, but it's really our ability to leverage our network, our relationships, and be good stewards of the industry to pass down a lot of the profitability
Mm-hmm.
and essentially reinvest in the businesses that are helping us.
Peter, and I heard that, correct me if I'm wrong, that your main channel for leads is actually referrals, right? How it's working in terms of growth? What is your strategy to grow that project further among other restaurants, which could be already engaged by your competitors. Right?
Sure, and we see more competition even in the last weeks. And everyone knows that a lot of the companies in the space are just categorically disliked. And so it's easy to compete just because you're someone new and you're doing something different. We do not have an issue with customer acquisition because of our business model and because of our values, because of who we know in the industry. And that's why we've kept it to 100 restaurants in the first year, because we want to make sure we're delivering a product and service that is at least on par with some of the big players. And so for us to raise capital, to hire more people, to better service our restaurant partners is really important. We provide software, but if you're working in a kitchen and you've got a knife in one hand and a head of lettuce in the other, you're not exactly prepared to make changes to your menu online. So we want to provide added value and additional services to be, leverage our expertise behind the computer so that they can run their business more effectively. Our big project now is to create a marketplace for diners to go and search for things they've never been able to search for before. So if they are looking for a meal prep subscription from a restaurant, that's never really been available. And it's a great business model.
Yep.
You see companies like HelloFresh and Blue Apron and thousands of others be really successful with guaranteed recurring revenue. Now independent restaurants for the first time are starting to break into that sales channel, and we're helping guide them, providing the software, and now a marketplace for everyone to search. So we think it's really powerful. It's hard to keep up and grow fast. There are challenges along the way. For us as a team internally, we have so much confidence in the relationships that we've built. And so the sky's the limit on this one.
Yeah, definitely. No, I was surprised about this subscription model kind of thing, because it's like a novel way of solving this problem of monthly recurring revenue for restaurants, and I couldn't imagine that in Ukraine. So I'm not sure whether it's popular or not in other countries. But except a few things that you mentioned, like added value and lower prices, right? What makes Family Meal special and so attractive for most of restaurants, right?
Yeah, I think from a technology point of view, it's the fact that we can be very customized for their business. We're not pigeonholing them into a really bad business model. During the pandemic, obviously it was a really hard time. It was a blessing and a curse. A lot of restaurants started experimenting. They were selling groceries and toilet paper, whatever they could to keep the lights on. And so our tools are designed to encourage experimentation. Maybe you have customers that really love the cookies at your restaurant, and you're only selling 50 cookies a night. Maybe you should ship those nationwide. Maybe your customers move to California and they still want to buy from you. So restaurants have rethought what they're selling and how. And so we are lucky enough to build a software company from scratch that can make selling anything however they want far easier, and not encourage them just to wait for customers to come through the door.
So the main factor, as far as I understand, is like making it easier for restaurants, making them more confident about recurring revenue, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's not just making it easier.
Okay.
Their lives are going to be hard no matter what. It's really completely shifting the business in a way that's very predictable. If you're back there in the kitchen and you get a catering order right in the middle of dinner service and someone tells you to make it, it's very painful, for many different, psychologically, physically, who knows. It's not a good business to just kind of pinch all your sales into Friday night dinner.
Yep.
And by combining software, some education with our personal service, and having a pricing model that we can be profitable and make everyone in the equation happy, it's kind of a combination of everything that makes us really unique.
What is the current competitors for you, for Family Meal, and what is the market cap? What kind of part you would like to cover with Family Meal?
I think our core business is still catering. We provide software that is great for catering. There's one company that has about 60-70% market share, and they're a multi-billion-dollar company. They are not very liked. They're old school. They charge a lot. They don't give you customized options. And so we're able to compete and grab some market share from them. But really, we see the market growing as a whole with subscriptions, pop-ups, ghost kitchens, wholesale, new ways that restaurants are making money, where that hasn't even kind of reached a saturation point of being educated amongst the restaurants. So we're competing right now in a big market, but we think that these new restaurant models are going to emerge in the next few years, and we'll be prepared to not have to educate, but to kind of let everyone use FamilyMeal to its full potential.
Yeah, great. And is there any KPIs like amount of restaurants to achieve or amount of users, customers, buyers to cover within the area we are right now, or any other areas?
Yeah, we've got a lot of internal KPIs about moving people through a pipeline, getting them to a certain level of sales faster. But the only one I really care about is that the restaurant partners are successful in their businesses. I think it's hard to care about a lot of stakeholders. We put restaurants first and our employees second, then diners, and then I hope none of my investors are listening, but they're last. All very important. We care about them all. But we're just very focused on making those restaurants stronger. I think that solves everything below.
What about the understanding where you are going in terms of market? Is it going to be a United States specific market or at some point worldwide? If yes or no, why?
I personally want to compete worldwide. I'm not sure how selfish or egotistical that is, because the restaurant industry is very different all over the world. But we see innovation out of Europe and Singapore and other countries that have evolved faster than the US. Even India. I mean, I've seen their technology be more supportive of an industry and be less focused internally as how they're going to reshape the business model. And so for me, that's inspiring. I'd like to see FamilyMeal be trusted and used by really old restaurants, places that have existed for a long time that may not have the best model for the future. Give them an opportunity to maybe start a ghost kitchen or ship their products around the country to sustain their business. I think it's really important to allow these entrepreneurs, these people who have worked in the industry for so long, to evolve and not just give up on them. I want it to be a global brand. There's plenty of opportunity right here in the United States.
In case I would ask you to emphasize, what are the core features or criteria for the best vendor or dev shop or freelancer? In case you just summarize based on your experience, what would that be like? Top 3 or 5?
I think there needs to be a broken barrier of communication where it's less transactional, like I said, and it needs to be more relationship based. Communication needs to be very honest, fast, clear, and if there's that trust, you're able to not only just write code faster, but make iterative improvements to whatever you're building in a way that makes it more of a solution. And I think that's really the only thing we look for. There are a lot of people that can write code. Obviously, some is better than others, but if you can get someone to care about your business, it kind of supersedes everything else.
It's definitely trust is the main in terms of relationship, and I've noticed that when companies are caring about each other, the relationships are always long term, growing together. So the critical part while you are running your business, working with restaurants, working with investors, with your on-site team, it's about time, right? And so I wanted to ask, how much time you dedicated to development discussions, or to interact with the team? How much was that, and whether it could be smaller or bigger? What would be your preferences?
I think we've spent very little time relative to my time has been in development because I have trusted partners. I don't expect everyone every startup to have the same experience. But I think I'm very lucky to spend so little time worrying about the development side.
Great. And the last question for those who are watching this video and they are potential clients for FamilyMeal, what would be your recommendation in terms of like the benefits they could get using FamilyMeal today?
I think first and foremost, when you get an order from FamilyMeal and you don't see any fees come out, it's pretty revolutionary. I think when you talk to someone from our team that was willing to listen, to understand your business, and to do a lot of the computer work for you, it becomes a no-brainer. We believe in relationships. We want to make sure that they're successful. And so, day one, if you're interested, you get a human being from our team that hopefully you really get along with and believe in and is there to support you.
Yeah, great. And thank you for this great interview. It was pleasant to have you here, and pleasant to visit United States, as well as wishing you great success for FamilyMeal. And stay in
Probably
touch.
eat something. I'm talking about the company so much. I'm not sure what to serve Volodymyr tonight, but we'll eat well, I promise.
Definitely. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Appreciate it.